Now imagine this. It's 1942. You're just getting started in fly tying, like many of us did. But there's no internet, no YouTube. And if you don't have a father or grandfather to teach you how to tie, what do? Well, I imagine you go to the library and look for a book. And maybe you find one like this. George Herter's Professional Fly Tying and Tackle Making, published in 1941. Now, I tied out of this a couple of weeks ago from an old black and white sketch. But what I did not show you is that there's a whole chapter in here on fly patterns. But here's the challenge. These have no pictures at all. Really, it's just a list of materials and maybe a sentence or two of helpful tips, but you're pretty much on your own for things like hook size and color variations and the proportions. But that's also what makes this kind of cool. In this specific book, the streamer section, there are a lot of patterns you will have heard of. There's things like the Edson Tigers or the Gray Ghost and the Mickey Finn. But there are a lot in here that a contemporary tyer will not have heard of. Flies like a Jesse Wood or the Milo Mike, one called the Moose River. And I'm going to do one of those patterns today. This one is called the Hell Cat, and it's a streamer, actually a bucktail, but you really have no idea what this thing is going to look like until you sit down at the bench and give it a try. But this one, I think it came out okay. I'm going to put it in my streamer box and take it out, give it a shot. And one other note, for any of y'all who want to try something like this, but don't have a copy of this 1941 book, which is probably about everybody, I'll take some pictures of these pages and put a link to them in the description. So there it is in the vise, my first attempt at a fly called the Hell Cat from George Herter's 1941 book. Now I'm tying this on a size 8. This is a 6 extra long Limerick bend streamer hook. Let's go ahead and try to pinch this barb. Did not get it. You'll usually hear it snap on these hooks when you get it. There we go. And black thread. I'm going to use a 70 denier. You could certainly go thicker than this, but you don't necessarily need to, and I already had this spooled. Now we do have a tail on here, and Herter says it's a red slip of duck or goose. This is a duck, and I'm just going to do one slip. I'm not even going to really worry about getting it pretty, just get about the length that I want right here. So let's just catch this in with a little pinch wrap, and it's going to bunch all up on us, and that's going to be just fine. I think that'll work right there. Couple of wraps to secure it, a couple more going forward, and let's snip the front off. Now we do have a little butt section of Peacock herl, and he didn't say how much, so I'm thinking just kind of a regular butt here. And I'm going to catch in 3 strands. I don't think you need 3, but if you break one, you'll still have at least 2, so that's why I do 3. And I'm going to make it maybe about to where my thread is. I'll spin these together just a little bit, not real tight, because then you will be more likely to break them. And I'm going to be using a medium chenille for the body, so I'm going to try to get this kind of thick here. Now we've got a yellow chenille. And that one you saw in the vise at the beginning was a medium. I didn't have a small. I think a small might be just a little bit better here, but maybe not. Sometimes streamers like this work when they have a little bit of meat on their bones. So let's just strip a little bit of that thread core, of that chenille off, so we're left with the thread core. Okay, I think that's going to work right there. Now take our thread up here, 3 or 4 eye lengths back, I guess. Remember, we've got 2 components of bucktail to go up front, and we've got a little bit of thorax and more of that peacock. So go ahead and just wrap this up right here, touch and turns up there to where our thread is. So I want to go one more. Yeah, let's live on the edge a little bit. Might be regretting that if I start crowding my eye, but oh, you know what? I forgot we got that peacock herl. We definitely need to back this off a little bit. I'm sure that doesn't happen to you guys where you almost forget a component. There we go. Now we got room for the peacock herl up front, plus the bucktail. And this is just those same 3 strands of peacock herl we used on the the back end. Let's see if it's enough. I've only got about 2 inches, but I think we'll be able to make it work. We don't need a ton up here because a lot of this is going to be covered by the bucktail anyway. Just gives it a little bit of a darker head, I would say. We got 2 pieces of bucktail we're going to put on it. Just some light brown, natural brown. This is an undyed bucktail. I'm going to put a little bit of that brown in my stacker. Okay, that stacked pretty well right there. You can see it's not a huge tuft right here. And we're going to do about the same with the gray, but we're not going to stack that. We'll give it a little bit more of a natural look. So let's go ahead and try to catch this in right here. I'm going to spin my thread clockwise, cord it up just a little bit, do a pinch wrap, and then the second wrap. I'm going to try to keep these from spinning around the hook on me. I think we're good so far, but you know, plenty of time to screw this up yet. Okay, now that's going to flare up a little bit, but that's okay. We can push it down and get it to lay down a little bit with the gray we're going to put on it in just a second. So I'll do a couple wraps just to make this area a little smoother. Now take a little bit from this gray piece of bucktail right here, and maybe about the same amount as that brown, but maybe just a little bit less. And I'm going to hand stack this one, and by that I mean just pull any really long fibers out that are going a little wonky on you. Just pull them out with your fingers, and we'll lay this right on top, maybe a little bit longer than that brown, and we'll catch this in just a couple of medium wraps going back. If you do the medium wraps, you might be able to get this laying a little flatter, and it'll push that brown down as well. Now we can do tighter wraps going forward to really lock it in before we snip it off. Now if you don't have jungle cock eyes, you're pretty much done. Just build a big old head and maybe paint some eyes on it if you want. But if you do have some, now's the chance to put them in. So I'm going to go here, maybe I want to try for about a 30-degree angle up. I don't necessarily want any of that white showing, I just want the yellow eye. So we'll do a few loose wraps right there and try to make sure we're positioned how we want. I think that's it right there. So I'll do a couple of tight wraps to make sure it's locked in. Okay, I think we're fine. Do the same thing on this side here. Okay, now we can pinch them and put some tight wraps going forward. And now just as many thread wraps as you need to build you a big, hard, shiny streamer head. Okay, now critiquing this one, that head a little bit too long. I could have probably compensated for it by using a bigger thread and making it a little thicker, but I think we got a fishable fly. So that's it, my friends, the Hell Cat. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.